In today's video, we are finally going to be doing a print test with the DTG on the xTool O1 Omni printer. I'm going to show you guys the exact process that takes to be able to print onto your shirts from beginning to end. I'll show you guys the qualities, and I have two different types of apparel garments that I'm trying on. I'm trying a colored pink shirt, and I'm also going to be trying a black t-shirt as well. Just to let you guys know that this video is only to cover the DTG part of your printing process. It's not going to cover the DTF just yet. That is a separate video that I'm going to be making along the way that will cover that. I want to make sure that each specific feature that this printer comes along with has enough attention, so that way I'm going to focus it in just separate videos. And make sure to turn on your bell notification so that you guys get notified when I post that video. So let's get started. I do want to remind everybody that in this video today, this video is made with the beta testing prototype. Everything that you see in this video today might be different from when you get your actual production unit. I don't want everybody to think that what I'm doing today is 100% accurate, because at the end of the day, they're still making updates to the printer. They're still doing test prints, and they're still testing the features out to make sure that they're giving you guys the highest quality product in the world. Now, I'm not entirely sure how they will be selling the specific product, but again, once that becomes available for you guys, you'll be able to see it. But just so you know, at the end of the day, it does require pre-treatment solutions on your garment before you're able to print. So we're gonna get started with pre-treating the garment, and once we do that, we'll be able to start the official test and the transferring process on the xTool Studio software. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get my pre-treatment solution, and I am going to spray it on the surrounding areas of where I'm going to be printing. I'm not going to spray the entire garment, because if I do that, I'm going to end up having to multiple times heat press it. I'm only specifically going to worry about the area that I plan on printing on. And because this is a 3X shirt, I do want to get a really good size on this. So I'm going to definitely spray this down as much as I can. Ooh. It ended up spraying everywhere. I think the bottle's broken. Might have broken it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to then take this to my heat press, and I'm going to heat press this section right here. I'm gonna take this garment to my heat press, which is in the other room in my kitchen, so we're gonna go head over there. All right, so now I have my shirt under the heat press, and my current temperature is 300 degrees, and I'm getting ready to get rid of all of the dampness off the t-shirt so that I can go ahead and get it printed. So I'm gonna go ahead and press that, and I'll probably have to do a couple of different presses just because I got a little bit of pre-treatment on both sides, so we're gonna go ahead and do that as well. All right, so that went ahead and finished pressing, so I'm just gonna do the other side just to get that moisture off. All right, so now the garment is pre-treated, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take this over to our printer, and then we'll get on the xTool Studio software so we can get everything ready to print. If this was not already put onto your Omni printer, there's latches all the way at the bottom that you would actually press to lift up, and this would be similar to what you would do for all of your specific modules. And what you want to do is specifically these are two separate pieces. So this is what goes on top of this. If I was switching these out, maybe I had a flatbed here, I would take the flatbed out, I would insert this part first. An easy way to know what side this goes in is that these lines right here connect with this, this part of the edge of your printer. So that tells you that it should be lined up there. So when it goes in, they will snap together. So once that snaps together, then this side would go on top of this. Just as a quick reference, this part should be facing you. So this part is gonna go in, and that's all you would need to do. And then I'm gonna remove this magnetic plate that comes on top of this part right here. And this is what is gonna clip your shirt into this set. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my shirt, and I'm going to place it in the same way that I want it to print. So I'm just gonna lay it down. So it's laid down, trying to get it as straight as possible. First part is essentially just setting it down. Now, I'm going to place this plate on top, and it's gonna secure my garment. So this part is now secured. There's an excess garment on the sides right here, and what I'm gonna do is pinch these inside. If you don't put these in here, it's possible that it can end up going through the gears, and it can trap it. It can cause some jams, so you don't want to do that specifically. So please make sure that you tuck the excess garments in. So again, this is a 3X, and I was able to fit all of that inside. As long as it's pinched in the way it should be, it's gonna prevent anything from being able to get jammed in. Once that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and press the button, and it's gonna just feed it inside. So now that this is loaded on, we're gonna head over to the xTool Studio software so we can move on to the next step. Now in xTool Studio software, you can see that I actually have the DTG model connected to my printer right now. So that's already registered, and what we're gonna do now is do a scan so that it scans the garment and I can go ahead and start with the placement. So I'm gonna click on where it says scan. Clicking scan is gonna activate the Smart Scan feature where it's gonna scan what's on the flatbed at the moment, and it'll help me with my placement at the end when I do my printing. You can see at the top where it says the garment tray orientation is opposite to the canvas direction. The canvas has automatically been rotated with the top indicating the collar direction. This is essentially where my collar is going to be, and this is where the top of the shirt is. This is where my printing is going to happen. Now, when I go to print and I put my design, I'm not going to rotate it at all because it's going to do it automatically. So make sure you keep that in mind, that you're not rotating this because you might end up having a backwards design. On the screen, it scanned my garment. So now everything seems to be ready to place down. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on import, and I'm just gonna do one of these designs today. So I don't wanna do too much looking around. I just want to maybe let's add some color to the garment. So let's do this coffee t-shirt. And because I know people wanted to see the actual garment at its full capacity, I am going to make this design fill in the entire shirt as much as it can. So remember, this is a 3X, so unfortunately it's gonna probably still look a little small, but I'm not really worried about how it's gonna look as far as that. I'm just mainly concerned on the printing quality. So here's the design. Everything is placed down, and then what I'm gonna do is move on to the right side, and I'm just gonna see about looking at these options. Here you have the option to be able to put how many color passes you want to have on your actual t-shirt. I'm gonna go ahead and select white ink, and I'm gonna change that to 100%, and I'm gonna do at least 2 layers of white. And then for color, I am going to leave that at, I don't know if I should leave it at 1 or if I should do 2. I'm gonna leave it at 1. But then maybe instead of doing 2 layers of color, maybe I'll do 3 layers of white to make sure that I still get the high quality vibrancy that I need. So all in total, it's going to be 4 layer passes. I'm going to click on reduction size. Normally this is set at 0.5, but I changed it to 1. This is to prevent any white excess ink coming out from the outer lines of my design. I have everything else that I'm going to leave the same. You have the options to change the modes for your precision. Now you could do fast, but fast probably might not be the highest quality. Standard is your basic mode. I still get same good quality with standard, so I'm gonna leave it on standard. But if you wanted to kind of have the higher details in it, make sure that it captures everything and it has a lot more vibrancy, colors, just better results in total, you probably can go with high quality, but again, it's gonna increase your print time. So I kind of thought about it. Instead of doing 3 layers of white, I'm actually gonna change that to 2 because I do think that with 100% white ink, I should be able to get the quality that I need. If it doesn't, this is kind of like a testing phase for me. So if I do notice that maybe the 2 layers of white ink at 100% wasn't enough to make my colors as vibrant as I want it to be, then essentially I would go up 3 or 4 and know that's where I'll be able to get my sweet spot at finding out what the right settings is for my garments. I'm not a DTG pro. I have no knowledge in this whatsoever. I specifically specialize in DTFs, and that's what I kind of do. That's where my business comes from. So I'm very familiar with DTF. DTG is a whole new world, so this is where I'm still trying to learn a little bit. If you do have any knowledge that could help me with figuring out the layer passes, please let me know, because then if you guys let me know what the actual settings you recommend, I can probably go back in and test them out and then be able to share my results with you guys. So here's the image. Everything is fully done. I'm gonna go ahead and click on process. And while it's in process, it's gonna calculate the estimated time, and it's also gonna give me the processing features to be able to click print. It's gonna process the actual calculating time for how long it's gonna take to print. So everything's ready to go, and I'm gonna go ahead and click on print. So now that our image is finally printed on our t-shirt, we are going to go ahead and take a look at how it came out. So I'm gonna pull this out. And as you can see here, the vibrancy is really showing in this color all together. So we're not done yet. We're gonna take off the plate. We're gonna remove the shirt. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this to our heat press so that we can press it for 60 more seconds to lock in the ink inside of our t-shirts after the pre-treatment and everything. Now that it's printed, the last thing to do to lock in the ink into our garment is to heat press it one more time for 60 seconds to just dry it off because it's still currently wet right now. So if you were to touch it, you'd get ink all over your finger. And let's give that the minute that it needs, and then we'll see how the final product came out. We finished the heat pressing, and here's the final results of how vibrant the colors look, how good everything came out. Now, if you ever feel like your colors are a little bit duller, of course, you can always go back to your settings and layer passing. You can add another layer of white ink. And then I think with one layer of color, as long as you have your white ink underneath, it should be fine. So like this is just one layer of color and the color is showing for the most part. Now I think where the issue was is that when the white ink was layering on top of the the garment, it had these little gaps in it, which like if you really look close at it, it kind of gives off that little bit of a vintage feel. If you want to hide that, again, probably doing like 3 or 4 passes of white ink, it's going to increase your print time, but ultimately it'll give you the results you need. I do think that this still came out really, really well, but what we're going to do now is we're going to do a colored t-shirt instead now. So we're going to move on to the pink shirt. All right, so with this specific color garment, I actually ended up using a color ink treatment solution, which is different from the white ink solution that you would use for dark color garments. This is for light colors. So I applied it already. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dry it off, and then we will take this to our printer and do another print test on that one. So let's go ahead and press that. Now that that's pressed, we're gonna head over to the printer and we are going to go do our print test again. So as we did before, what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna load up our shirt once again. Load it in, make sure it's straight as much as you can. So now that that's loaded, again, we're gonna go ahead and put the cover. Let's lock it in place. Awesome. I'm gonna tuck this tag under the shirt to make sure it doesn't scrape against anything by accident when it's printing. And then tuck the shirt in and then try to leave no wrinkles. And I'm gonna load it back up. So I'm gonna have the scan done on the actual printer once more. It's gonna scan the new one. I am gonna do a different design that's a little bit smaller because I don't wanna waste too much time in my videos today. So probably gonna do something pretty small. So I found my design in the meantime, so I'm gonna have that put on. I'm probably gonna do 9.5 wide. 9.5. And then I'll center it to horizontal center. This is essentially where I want my design to lay out on my t-shirt. I'm going to keep the same settings that I kept on the black garment for my pink one, just to see the difference between both of them and see how vibrant they both look compared to each other. I have all this ready to go, so what I'm gonna do now is click on process. And with process, I'm going to click on print. This one's gonna take less than 10 minutes for it to print on this one. So we're gonna print, and let's see how that comes out. So I just got done printing both t-shirts. I've already pressed them and they're all ready to go to show you guys. So I'm gonna start with the black one first, and I wanna show you guys how that came out. And then I also wanna show you guys the pink one because I was able to do 3 different print tests to get the perfect settings for the pink one, and I wanna show you guys what I was able to do. So for the black one, I think that we ultimately got the results that I honestly was looking for the first part. Besides it being crooked, I do think that the quality and the colors actually stood within it. Probably could have gotten away with doing a little bit more of the white backing just to get a little bit more vibrancy. And I also noticed that maybe up here when it was printing, Probably it didn't have the ink already pushed out, like because it was all printing white and it wasn't doing color, that it just had that little bit of a yellow streak here. If I had done maybe one more top coating of the color, so maybe instead of doing 2 white and 1 color, maybe if I would have done 2 colors, 2 whites, probably would have gave me the results that I was looking for. But I do think that this vibrancy did come out. You can see it through the shirt. Like if you look at the details, it ultimately does look really good. This is the first time that I'm ever doing anything that has to do with direct to garment. I've only specialized in direct to film, so I've always had the film, press them onto the shirt, and you have that little feeling on top of it where it adheres to the top of the shirt, not directly onto your garment like this is. I do want to remind everybody that both of these shirts required some kind of pre-treatment solution on it. It did need this to be applied for all of dark garments. So if you're using a dark navy, black, dark gray, anything in those kinds of colors, you probably would have to use the pre-treatment solution. Now for colored garments, they do have a color ink pre-treatment solution that you would have to apply as well. I did apply that to my pink shirt, and I do want to show you guys the results for that one. So here is 3 different print tests that I did. And I'm gonna go over each setting. So the very first one that I did, when I originally did this one, it was 2 whites, 1 color. That was it. And if you look deeply, if you look closely at it, very faded. This part right here had some streaks in it when it came into the white. Don't know if you can fully see it because of the lighting, but that was very tricky. So it was 2 whites, 1 color. The second one that I did, which is this one, and I'm gonna see if I can get you guys into the light. This one right here was only 2 colors. So I only did 2 color passes for this one. I didn't include anything with white at all. I wanted to see what it would do to this color garment. So I ultimately think this one was the best result out of all 3. This one was very sharp, very detailed. The black looks black. The colors are so rich. 2 color passes at 100% gave me that result right there. The last one that I did right here, because I wanted to see if it was possibly the reason I just didn't maybe apply enough white and enough color. For this one right here, I did 3 white ink passes and I did 2 colors, all at 100%. Unfortunately for those 2, I got fadings, I got dull colors. It just did not look good quality. For the second one that only involved color passes, that was the one that was really rich, very detailed, very sharp as well. I didn't have any issues with this. The shirt feels very, very soft. Like if you look at this, this isn't the same thing as a DTF. It's actually printing the ink directly into your fabric, so you wouldn't even feel this at all. And if I was to go like this, you wouldn't even see it. And I could stretch it as well. It's a part of the fabric itself, which is a nice feature to have. It's just ultimately, it does take a little bit of additional steps and a lot of chemicals that you would have to be messing with to be able to get this kind of quality if you want to do softer versions. I specifically have the xTool Apparel printer. I work with DTF all the time. It's a lot easier for me. It's just a nice addition to have, but it's not something that I'm always going to be using. I will be making another video specifically focused on the DTF portion of it. That's gonna go from the powdering to the curing and applying, so you guys can see the difference between DTG and DTF. Because they're so different, I wanna make sure that each video has enough time to be able to explain all the details and the ins and outs of it. So if you guys have questions about the xTool O1 Omni printer still, make sure you guys are commenting down below and make sure you like and subscribe so you guys can pay attention to every time I get a new video up. So that way it covers a lot of these things because I do have more content coming along. I do want to make sure that you guys know what you're getting into and ultimately be able to purchase the item and the model that's specifically for you. So make sure you guys follow along and I will see you in the next one. Peace.